June 2011, Macon, Georgia. A law student emails her boyfriend. Someone tried to break into my house last night. 2 days later, she is dead, her torso in a trash can. The rest of her never found. By the end of this story, you'll know who was outside her window that night and the video that proved it. No reply. Lauren's sisters have been. No reply. Lauren's sisters have been calling too. Same result. This is not like Lauren. She is 27 years old, the eldest of 3 sisters, a recent graduate of Mercer University School of Law in Macon, Georgia. She is studying for the bar exam. She keeps in constant contact with her friends. She always picks up. Muller and her boyfriend drive to Lauren's apartment, a second-floor unit in a complex just across the street from the law school. Using a spare key, they let themselves in. The apartment is quiet. Lauren is not there. But her purse is on the counter, her phone is on the table, her keys are by the door, her laptop is open. Her law books, the books she has been studying day and night for weeks, are still stacked where she left them. Her little dog, Butterbean, is gone, placed with a friend days earlier. Everything in the apartment says Lauren stepped out for a moment and never came back. Muller stands in the middle of Lauren's apartment and tries to make sense of what she is seeing. Lauren is meticulous. She is organized. She does not leave her phone behind. She does not walk away from her bar exam prep books during the most important week of her academic life. And she does not disappear without telling someone. Muller checks the bedroom. The bed is made. Lauren's running shoes are by the door. Her wallet is in her purse. There is no note. No sign that she packed a bag or planned a trip. Muller walks into the bathroom. It looks clean, spotless even. She does not notice anything unusual. But something about the apartment feels wrong in a way she cannot articulate. It is too still, too empty. Not the kind of empty that means someone stepped out. The kind of empty that means someone is not coming back. Muller calls Lauren's sisters again. None of them have heard from her since Saturday. That is 4 days of silence from a woman who texted her friends multiple times a day. Muller's boyfriend suggests they call the police. She agrees. But before she leaves, she notices Lauren's laptop is still open on the desk. The screen is dark, but the power light is on. Someone used it recently. She does not touch it. She locks the door behind her and makes the call. Muller calls the police. Officers arrive the next morning, Thursday, June 30th. Crime scene investigator Steve Gatlin begins processing the apartment. There are no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, no shattered windows, no furniture overturned. The apartment looks normal, almost too normal. Then, Gatlin sprays luminol in the bathroom. The chemical reacts with trace amounts of blood invisible to the naked eye. The result is immediate. The entire bathtub glows. Not a smear, not a spot. The whole tub, all the way up to nearly 2 inches from the rim, lights up under the reagent. Someone had cleaned it. Someone had scrubbed every surface. But the blood had soaked in too deep to erase completely. Whatever happened to Lauren Giddings happened here, in her own bathroom, and someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to make it disappear. As Gatlin steps outside the building, he catches a smell in the breeze. He follows it to a trash can sitting near the parking lot of the apartment complex. He opens the lid. Inside are 2 plastic trash bags. He reaches for the larger one. The moment his hand touches it, he knows. Inside is a human torso. A female torso. There is something else Gatlin does not know yet, but will learn within the hour. A garbage truck was scheduled to service this building that morning, at almost exactly the time police had arrived. The truck could not get in because police vehicles were blocking the lot. If the officers had arrived 30 minutes later, or if Lauren's friends had waited 1 more day to check on her, the torso would have been in a landfill by noon. The killer had planned for that. Within hours, the parking lot of the apartment complex is a crime scene. Yellow tape stretches from the building entrance to the trash enclosure. Detectives canvass the building, knocking on every door, asking the same questions. When did you last see Lauren Giddings? Did you hear anything unusual over the weekend? Did you notice anyone in the hallways or near the trash area? Most residents are law students, deep in bar exam preparation. They have been locked in their apartments, studying for days. Several say they have not left their units since Friday. A few mention a faint odor outside the building over the past day or two, but they assumed it was a dead animal or spoiled food in the heat. No one connects it to their neighbor. No one reports seeing anything suspicious. The building has no security cameras in the hallways or common areas. There is no footage of anyone entering or leaving Lauren's apartment. There is no footage of anyone carrying anything to the trash can. The killer moved through this building, past doors, downstairs, across the parking lot, without being recorded or seen by a single person. In a complex full of future lawyers, not one of them noticed a thing. That fact alone tells investigators something important. Whoever did this knew the building. They knew the layout. They knew the blind spots. They knew when the hallways were empty. And they knew exactly when the garbage would be collected. On Lauren's laptop, investigators find an email sent on Saturday night, June 25th at 10:13 p.m. It is addressed to her boyfriend, David, who lives in Atlanta. In it, Lauren writes that someone tried to break into her apartment the previous night, Friday, June 24th. She does not say who. She does not say she saw anyone, just that someone tried. That email is the last meaningful communication Lauren Giddings ever sent. Before we get to what happened next, if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe, because the person who tried to break in on Friday night came back. The investigation begins with the people closest to Lauren. Her boyfriend, David, is 20 years older, an attorney based in Atlanta. They had recently rekindled their relationship after a period of distance. Then there is Joe, a fellow Mercer law student and Lauren's ex-boyfriend. Lauren had spent Friday night, June 24th, at Joe's apartment after a group outing at a bar. She left Saturday morning. Joe cooperates fully with investigators and provides a verifiable account of his movements. He is cleared. Friends and classmates are interviewed one by one. Lauren was well-liked, bubbly, outgoing, always wore pink, always had her dog with her. No one knows of any enemies. No one has seen anything suspicious. The investigation has a crime scene drenched in invisible blood, a torso in a trash can, and no suspect. Detectives regroup. They have a victim who was killed inside her own apartment with no sign of forced entry. That means one of three things. Lauren opened her door to someone she knew, someone had a key, or someone found another way in. The bathroom tells them the killing was not quick. The amount of blood detected by luminol, from the bottom of the tub to nearly 2 inches from the rim, indicates that the dismemberment happened there, methodically, over a period of time. The hacksaw found in the maintenance closet adjacent to the building's laundry room has what appears to be blood residue on both ends of the blade. Someone had rinsed it under water, but had not done a thorough job. The maintenance man is interviewed and provides a solid alibi. He is cleared quickly. But the hacksaw's location raises a question. Whoever placed it there had access to the maintenance room. That room is locked. Only building staff and anyone with a master key can get inside. Detectives ask the property management company for a list of everyone who has been issued a master key. The list is short. But they also consider the possibility that a key was stolen or copied. The building, they are learning, is far less secure than it appears. Then the police talk to the neighbors. One of them is a 25-year-old man who lives in the apartment directly next to Lauren's. His name is Stephen McDaniel. He is also a Mercer Law graduate. He and Lauren were classmates. They were both members of the Federalist Society. He has lived one wall away from her for 3 years. On the morning the torso is discovered, while police are still processing the scene, a local television crew from WGXA is outside the building interviewing residents. McDaniel agrees to speak on camera. He presents himself as a concerned friend. "She's as nice as can be," he tells the reporter. "Very personable, very much a people person." He says he has no idea where Lauren is. He suggests maybe she went out running and someone grabbed her. Then the reporter says something McDaniel does not expect. She tells him that investigators have recovered remains from the parking lot area. She asks if he has seen anything. McDaniel's face changes. His body goes rigid. His eyes lose focus. He asks to sit down. "I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her," he says, his voice barely audible. The interview is over. The camera keeps rolling. McDaniel stands motionless, staring at nothing. Think about what is happening in that moment. A man is standing in front of a camera, performing grief for a woman he says he barely knew. And then, he hears that the body he thought would be gone by morning is still there, sitting in a trash can in the parking lot, surrounded by police. The performance collapses, the mask falls, and the camera catches all of it. The television interview airs that same day. Within hours, the clip is everywhere. Local news, national news, internet forums. People watch it over and over. The moment the reporter mentions the remains, McDaniel's entire body language changes. His shoulders drop. His pupils dilate. His mouth opens slightly, but no words come out. He sways as though the ground has shifted beneath him. It is not grief. It is not shock at learning a friend is dead. It is the reaction of a man who has just realized that the one thing he counted on, the garbage truck taking the evidence away before anyone found it, did not happen. He had checked the pickup schedule. He had timed the disposal. He had placed the torso in the trash can the night before, expecting it to be in a landfill by Thursday morning. But the police cars arrived first, and the truck could not get through. The torso was still there, and now a reporter is telling him on camera that they found it. In the years since, the clip has been viewed millions of times. Behavioral analysts and true crime commentators have dissected every frame. Some call it one of the most revealing moments ever captured on live television. The instant a killer learns in real time that his plan has failed. McDaniel never speaks to the media again. Crime scene investigator Gatlin watches the footage later. He describes McDaniel's reaction as very odd. Detectives bring McDaniel in for questioning. The first interview is relatively normal. He says he has been studying for the bar exam. He does not know what happened to Lauren. He lets officers search his apartment voluntarily. He appears cooperative. Then they bring him back for a second round. The atmosphere changes. McDaniel goes quiet. He stops making eye contact. He begins staring into space. Detectives later describe him as zombie-like. For hours, he barely speaks. When he does, it is the same 3 words. "I don't know," over and over. "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." The interrogation stretches past midnight and into the early hours of July 1st. Detectives rotate in and out of the room. McDaniel does not move. For long stretches, he sits perfectly still in a chair. No fidgeting, no shifting, no blinking. His arms rest on his legs. His head tilts slightly downward. He stares at a fixed point on the floor. One detective later describes him as the most unnervingly still person he has ever interviewed. When detectives press harder, showing him Lauren's photograph, asking him to look at her face, McDaniel's responses do not change. "I don't know." "Where is Lauren?" "I don't know." "You do know." "I don't know." At one point, a detective tells McDaniel that forensic technicians are collecting hair samples from the crime scene, and that if a single strand of his hair is found with the body, the conversation is over. McDaniel says nothing. He does not react. He does not flinch. The detective pushes harder. "Look at my hair. That's how easy it falls out. Look at all that on your head. You don't think none fell out?" Silence. Over 12 hours of interrogation, McDaniel consumes 10 bottles of water. He does not ask for food. He does not ask for a lawyer. He does not ask to leave. He simply sits and waits and repeats the same 3 words. Then something cracks. Not a confession, something smaller, but enough. Detectives confront McDaniel about a detail that does not add up. During the interview, he mentions that he is a virgin, but inside his apartment, officers have found unused condoms. McDaniel admits he stole them from another apartment in the building. It is a small crime, but it is a crime. Burglary. And it is enough to hold him while the investigation continues. Now, detectives have time, and they have a warrant to search McDaniel's apartment thoroughly. What they find changes everything. In his bedroom, 2 keys. The first is a master key to the apartment building, a key that opens every door in the complex, including the maintenance room where the hacksaw was found. The second is a key that has been cut specifically to fit the lock on Lauren Giddings' apartment. In a dresser drawer, a pair of women's underwear. DNA testing will later confirm they belong to Lauren. On a shelf, packaging for a hacksaw, the same brand and size as the hacksaw recovered from the maintenance closet, the one with traces of blood on both ends of the blade. On his computer, internet search history showing queries for when Macon's garbage trucks pick up trash and how to disable a burglar bar on a doorknob. And buried in his files, blog posts describing torture and violence against women, sadistic pornography, and 30 files classified as sexual exploitation of children. Stephen McDaniel had not just killed Lauren Giddings, he had been preparing for it. The evidence in his apartment painted a portrait not of a man who had snapped, but of a man who had been building toward this moment for months, possibly years. The internet search history on his computer was methodical. He had researched how to disable the burglar bar installed on the inside of a doorknob, the type of security device found on Lauren's apartment door. He had looked up the exact pickup schedule for garbage trucks servicing the apartment complex. Which routes, which days, which times. He had searched for information on decomposition, on how long it takes for a body to produce odor detectable from outside a closed container. Each search was a step in a sequence. Each query answered a specific logistical problem. This was not impulse. This was project management. And the 30 files of child sexual exploitation found on his hard drive, material that would have been sufficient for a separate prosecution, revealed a pattern of deviance that predated his obsession with Lauren by years. Detectives and prosecutors would later describe McDaniel as a serial killer in the making. They believed Lauren Giddings was his first victim, and that if he had not been caught, she would not have been his last. District Attorney David Cook put it bluntly. It was an obsession for him, Cook said. His dream was to commit murder and to get away with it. His name was Stephen Mark McDaniel, 25 years old, born in 1985 in Atlanta. His high school classmates had voted him most likely to be famous. In his law school application, he described himself as level-headed, down-to-earth, a dreamer, a highly competitive personality with an inner drive to win in any situation. He wrote that he aspired to become a federal judge. Under employment, he listed babysitting his sister's children. In his apartment, police found a 56-page fantasy manuscript, stockpiles of food and weapons, and medieval chainmail that he sometimes wore to class. Former roommates described him as socially awkward and difficult to maintain a friendship with. Fellow students said he had a habit of asking people about how to commit the perfect murder. He lived one wall away from Lauren Giddings for 3 years. He asked her out more than once. She turned him down every time. She tried to be friendly, but he gave her the creeps. But to understand what Stephen McDaniel did, you have to go back to the week before Lauren disappeared. On Friday night, June 24, 2011, Lauren went out with friends to a local bar, a last celebration before the final push of bar exam studying. She came home late. She did not know that as she returned to her apartment, someone was already watching. Stephen McDaniel had taped a camera to a long stick, an improvised device that allowed him to hold it up to the second-floor window and record without being seen from the ground. He filmed Lauren through the blinds of her own apartment. The footage, recovered later from his computer, shows the angle of the camera tilted upward from below the window frame. It is dark, it is late, and he is right there, inches from the glass, recording the woman he would kill 2 nights later. Lauren sensed something was wrong. The next evening, Saturday, she sat down at her laptop and wrote an email to David. "Someone tried to break into my house last night." She did not call the police. She did not know who it was. She sent the email at 10:13 p.m. She never sent another. According to McDaniel's own account, given as part of his plea deal in 2014, what happened next unfolded in the early hours of Sunday, June 26th. At approximately 4:30 in the morning, McDaniel put on a mask and gloves. He took the master key he had obtained. How and when he acquired it was never fully established, and walked the few steps from his apartment to Lauren's door. He unlocked it. He stepped inside. Lauren was asleep in her bedroom. He strangled her with his hands. The next day, he returned to the apartment and carried her body to the bathroom. Using a hacksaw, he dismembered her. He placed her torso in trash bags and carried it downstairs to the trash can outside the building. The rest of her remains, her head, her arms, her legs, he put in a dumpster across the street on the Mercer Law School campus. That dumpster was picked up by a garbage truck before anyone reported Lauren missing. The contents went to a landfill. Despite extensive searches, including efforts as recently as 2025, the rest of Lauren Giddings has never been found. McDaniel then went back to his apartment. He cleaned what he could. He placed the hacksaw in the maintenance closet, rinsing it but not thoroughly enough. He kept the master key. He kept the key to her apartment. He kept her underwear. He went back to his routine, studying, walking the halls, acting as though nothing had happened. When reporters showed up 4 days later, he walked outside and gave an interview. He said she was as nice as can be. He said he had no idea what happened. He said maybe she went running and someone snatched her. What is remarkable about the 4 days between the murder and the discovery of the torso is how completely McDaniel maintained his composure. He attended study sessions. He walked the hallways of the building where Lauren's blood still stained the bathtub 1 wall away. He interacted with the same friends and classmates who were growing increasingly worried about Lauren's silence. When the search began, he volunteered to help. He joined the conversations about where she might have gone. He offered theories. Maybe she left town. Maybe she went running and something happened. He stood outside the building and watched the police arrive, knowing that the torso he had placed in the trash can was sitting 15 feet from where they were setting up their equipment. He agreed to be interviewed on camera by a reporter, performing the role of the grieving neighbor, the helpful friend, the concerned classmate. And for a few hours it worked. No one suspected him. The police had not focused on him. The garbage truck was scheduled to come. If the timing had held, if the police had arrived an hour later, if the truck had gotten through, the torso would have been gone. The hacksaw might have stayed hidden. The investigation might have stalled for weeks. Stephen McDaniel came closer to getting away with murder than most people realize. The margin between his plan succeeding and failing was measured not in days or hours, but in minutes. On August 2, 2011, Stephen McDaniel was formally charged with first-degree murder. The case did not go to trial. In the spring of 2014, the Macon Bibb District Attorney, David Cook, offered a plea deal. Cook had a mountain of circumstantial evidence: the keys, the hacksaw packaging, the underwear, the internet searches, the blog posts. But he wanted more. The single most damning piece of evidence was the video. The footage recovered from McDaniel's computer showed him filming Lauren Giddings through her window on the night of Friday, June 24th. The same night, Lauren emailed her boyfriend saying someone had tried to break into her apartment. The video proved that McDaniel was outside her window, watching her, 2 nights before he killed her. It was not a crime of impulse. It was not a sudden loss of control. It was a hunt. The video proved premeditation, and it matched, frame by frame, the fear Lauren had described in her last email. It was an obsession for him, District Attorney Cook told Dateline. His dream was to commit murder and to get away with it. On April 21, 2014, Stephen McDaniel pleaded guilty to felony murder. In exchange for his confession and a full account of the night of the killing, the prosecution dropped the death penalty. The judge also dismissed additional charges, 1 count of burglary and 30 counts of sexual exploitation of children. McDaniel was sentenced to life in prison. He will be eligible for parole in 2041. At sentencing, the court heard from Lauren's family. Her father described his daughter as a light that could not be replaced. The judge addressed McDaniel directly. The word he used was one that the district attorney had also chosen: truly evil. McDaniel has never shown remorse. In 2018, he represented himself in court while arguing for a retrial, claiming his constitutional rights had been violated and that his attorneys had failed him. The judge denied every claim. In 2022, he filed a federal habeas corpus petition, alleging that prosecutors had illegally intercepted his legal research while he was in jail. That petition is pending. His father started a GoFundMe page to fund an appeal. It raised nothing. GoFundMe shut it down. The plea deal that sent McDaniel to prison also required him to provide a full account of the murder, every step, from entry to disposal. It was the first and only time he described what he had done. The account was clinical. He described using the master key. He described the mask and gloves. He described the strangulation. He described returning the next day to dismember the body. He described the hacksaw. He described placing the torso in the trash bags and carrying it downstairs. He described walking across the street to the Mercer campus and placing the remaining body parts in a dumpster that he knew would be emptied before anyone reported Lauren missing. He described going back to his apartment and resuming his routine. At no point in the account did he express regret. At no point did he say he wished he had not done it. The confession was not an act of remorse. It was a transaction. His life for his words. The deal also dismissed the 30 counts of child sexual exploitation and the burglary charge. Lauren's family objected to the dismissals but accepted the outcome because it guaranteed McDaniel would never be free again, at least not until 2041, when he will be 56 years old and eligible to petition for parole. Whether that petition will be granted is a question for another decade. For now, the only certainty is that Lauren Giddings' family visits an incomplete grave, because the rest of their daughter has never been found. Stephen McDaniel is currently incarcerated at Hancock State Prison in Hancock County, Georgia. He is 40 years old. Lauren Giddings would have been 41. The video recovered from McDaniel's computer is a few seconds long. It is dark. The camera is angled upward, unsteady, taped to a stick held below a second-floor window. Through the blinds, you can see the outline of a person inside an apartment. That person is Lauren Giddings. 2 nights before she was killed, inside the home she thought was safe. She had felt it, the presence on the other side of the glass. She had written it down. "Someone tried to break into my house last night." She sent the email. No one came, and the man with the camera came back. Lauren Giddings had moved to Macon from Maryland to build a career in law. She wanted to be a public defender, to represent the people who couldn't represent themselves. She was 1 exam away from the bar. She had Modern Bride magazines in her apartment, though she wasn't engaged yet. She had a little dog named Butterbean that she took everywhere. On the last Friday of her life, she went out with friends, laughed, drank, celebrated. She walked home in the dark, and 1 wall away, someone was already planning what would happen next. A woman knew she was being watched. She wrote it down. She told someone. And still, no one could stop what was coming. That is the question this case leaves behind, and it is one that has no easy answer. How many people write that email, send that text, tell that friend, and no one listens until it is too late? If you know someone who should hear this story, share this video. And if you think the most dangerous person is always a stranger, there is another case that says otherwise. 1 wall, 1 key, 1 video. It is right here.